to your point, Snowden says if you look past our record, you'll see we've had success up front, holding opponents to 133 yards rushing through 5 games. So they have confidence, but they know tonight is a tall task, and it just got taller. Guys, starting defensive end Richard Burney is unavailable tonight due to a medical issue, non-COVID related.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. As we get underway, North Carolina will have the first possession here as Virginia kicks off through the end zone. And so that means Sam Howell will have his hands on the football to get this thing going. He's lost about 10 pounds from a year ago. He's more flexible. He's not a running machine, Tim, but he can do a lot more things with that flexibility.
Yeah, he's played better outside the pocket. And you look at what he did a year ago. So many big plays in the passing game. He's been tremendous in the fourth quarter, which very rarely happens with a young quarterback. But that's been kind of the hallmark of his game, is when it gets late, he plays some of his best football.
We don't want to jinx him by putting that graphic up there. He has not thrown a pick in the fourth quarter in his career as the Carolina quarterback. And on the first carry, it'll be Carter trying off the left side for 2 on the first play from scrimmage. Carolina coming in with a record of 4-1, fresh off a rivalry win over NC State last Saturday, 48-21. They really got the offense going. Mac Brown says they're probably, or at least they were at that time, a little bit overrated. Right now, number 15 coming into this one tonight in the ACC. And it's Carter again with the second carry. He's very much the leader of this team. He picks up 4 here. He is constant energy, always bringing up his teammates. But here they go. He will step off, and of course, Javonte Williams to step in.
And some of these known passing situations have been a bit of a struggle for North Carolina this year. Much better in the RPO game.
Back to throw. Pressure on him. He eludes a tackler, and he fires this one complete. He got it to Walston, the tight end. That's not a play they use often, but they can do it effectively.
Yeah, and this is really well done by Sam Howell. You see the blitz come. Jackson gets through clean, but that's just great strength in the pocket by Sam Howell. He's able to rip through the contact and then find Walston, who's running a shallow cross right into his line of vision.
16-yard gain. He's going to go deep right away here. He's got a wide receiver open, and he's going to get into the end zone for a touchdown. That one caught by Dyami Brown for 54 yards. You talk about a quick strike.
Quick strike is right, Dave. It's what they really did well last year with Dyami Brown. So much speed, does a nice job of fielding the high snap. Looks to his right, it moves the safety, and Dyami Brown just uses his speed to run right past Devontae Cross in a beautifully thrown deep ball by Sam Howell. That thing was thrown about 55 yards in the air to get a sense of Sam Howell's arm strength. That was launched.
Well, he had a career game, talking about Brown last year in this game, as he caught over 200 yards worth of passes, and that is an immediate score, immediately on the board for North Carolina. That did not take long at all. We're talking about Sam Howell and the deep ball ability. We mentioned that, the string of touchdown passes. Last year against Virginia, he threw 4 touchdown passes, 353 yards, and he's at it again in very quick fashion.
We know he has the ability to do it. You saw them get that first down, quickly snap the football, take a shot down the field. That's what these guys do. I mean, you talk about big plays and the ability to push the ball down the field. Kind of been the best way to describe North Carolina's offense under Phil Longo. And I will tell you, it's been a little bit interesting because they haven't had the big plays down the field to Dyami Brown this year because of so many last year, but come away with one early in this game.
Now Kelly takes a knee down there in the end zone, so they'll bring it out. And that means Brennan Armstrong back at quarterback, returning to start last Saturday night in Miami after missing a game and a half to the concussion protocols. Actually played pretty darn well. He looked like he wasn't having any issue with the concussion whatsoever, and he ran the ball so effectively.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what he does best at this stage of his career, Dave. kind of a gritty, tough runner is how I would describe him. In the passing game, he can make all the throws. He has kind of gotten himself into trouble with some poor decisions in a few of his starts.
And he's got his fine tight end in motion there, Poljan, who made one of the great catches in the conference last week. A quick strike here to Kemp, who's been his #1 target. He's been sensational, really. That goes for 17 yards. That's his 42nd catch already this season, Tim.
Yeah, sensational is a pretty good way to describe what Billy Kemp has done. Just kind of finds his way to the football, and good run after the catch player as well.
Armstrong's going to run it here. He'll test those legs right away before he is dragged down. Get used to seeing that tonight. He went for 91 last weekend. He picks up 3 here.
And that's the kind of runner he is. You know, he's a good designed runner, but he also makes a lot of plays on design passing, plays where he just takes off as a scrambler. And it's one of the things that the North Carolina linebacking crew has to be aware of tonight.
2nd down and 6. Thompson in motion. He took a look at him. Armstrong tripped up, and down he goes. Another carry for the quarterback, and a 3-yard game for Brennan Armstrong, a sophomore from Shelby, Ohio.
You see here, you're always trying to protect your quarterback, but the style of runner Brennan Armstrong is, he's kind of more of a Tim Tebow style runner where he's okay with the contact, and sometimes I think he's looking for it. But obviously, Dave, you mentioned the concussion earlier this season. Does have to be something you're concerned about in terms of protecting him.
Going to keep it on the ground on this carry. And Keaton Thompson will gain 2. And so get used to this. Have you not seen Virginia? Have you not seen him to this point? You'll see a different quarterback in and different guys running the football from time to time.
Yeah, not obviously a bit of a gadget play where it's kind of a surprise quarterback sneak with Thompson. I love the idea, love the play call. Just on 3rd and 3, it's hard to get 3 yards on a quarterback sneak, which now puts you in a 4th and 1 scenario.
So 4th down and 1. And a handoff. And again, staying on the ground to pick up that yard, it's Talapapa. And Virginia, well, they say they have that 1st down. And a stop by Trey Morrison on the tackle. And they will pick up the 1 yard. Just got it on the carry for 1st down.
That's good hard running by Talapapa because it was not really well blocked. And I think Bronco Mendenhall just gave us a signal there that, look, against this North Carolina team, they're going to have to take chances. 4th and 1 basically at midfield. They're going to go for it, trying to find ways to extend their possessions.
1st and 10 for Armstrong. He's going to hand off for Thompson. Nice hole there. He finds it. Good blocking in front of him before he is taken down, but a really fine carry for a 14-yard pickup for Keaton Thompson.
And you can just tell that they are scripting stuff for Keaton Thompson. They've identified him as really one of their better athletes, and as they're looking for more explosive plays offensively, 99 is the guy that can make that happen.
Transfer from Mississippi State. He will also get some catches tonight in all likelihood because he lines up as a wide receiver and doing it right here out on the left side. Armstrong again on the carry, cutting back inside, showing good mobility here. He picks up 7 on that carry.
And I can't just help but think, Dave, that this is the coaching staff that was at BYU that had Taysom Hill, who's now with the New Orleans Saints, kind of a jack of all trades, if you will. You know, play tight end, or play receiver, or play running back, and seems like they've kind of adapted this offense in that same idea.
Armstrong by himself in the backfield and back to throw and fires this one, and going to be incomplete on the sideline. Intended for Henry. We expect him to get some catches. Seeing them last week, they didn't go to him, but now all of a sudden he's in the mix with Lavelle Davis out for the 2nd straight week.
That's a great point, Dave, because with no Lavelle Davis, they've struggled throwing the ball outside the hash marks, especially outside the numbers. And, you know, he's open there. He's just, you know, Sean Henry's got to make that catch because the ball's on the money.
3rd and 4, and on the handoff, Talapapa straight ahead. Now you're going to hear us refer to a player who's not in this game probably more than once, and a very talented freshman, Lavelle Davis. And Tim, there's really very few like him at 6'7", with his pass catching ability, the great hands, the speed, the leaping ability. This is a giant miss for Virginia.
It's a huge miss, Dave. And, very rarely do you say that about a true freshman wide receiver that, maybe didn't have huge expectations coming into the season, but they've missed him big time.
He's going to scamper again, and a nice hole opens up for Armstrong. Across the 10, he dives, he gets the pylon, and a touchdown. 23 yards for the touchdown run for Brennan Armstrong, and a very quick answer for the Cavaliers.
It's one of these plays that's unique to Virginia's offense. It really looks like a pass, but essentially, it turns into a quarterback draw as Shane Simpson kind of leads up and is a blocker. And the offensive line decides to rally around their quarterback as well. He's looking to his right, doesn't like what he sees, and just look at what happens. Chris Glazier starts getting down the field, and it basically is a quarterback draw for your talented runner at the quarterback position.
So Delaney on for the extra point, and that one is going to 23 yards. The quarterback scamper. Virginia missing the extra point, so Carolina on top by a point. And here's Carter, and they will bring it out. Well, last time they had the football, Carolina didn't have it very long, but they love the result, Tim.
They sure do, because they're working a double move to the top of the screen to Dyami Brown. Just look at the little stutter go that he runs, little stutter there, and then just straight speed past Devontae Cross. And good job of Sam Howell getting that football out of there after fielding a high snap. But that is this quick strike North Carolina offense. They have the ability to do this, and you pair that with what we know is a tremendous run game. It's why they are hard to defend.
They move the football 75 yards in 85 seconds in the opening drive. Howell will throw short, and they found him very quickly. Carter trying to get free, and eventually taken down and lost 6 yards. And a good job by Noah Taylor, who has 2.5 sacks this season, a junior, playing really well.
Yeah, and it's a really good job. This is basically a sweep to Carter. They let one of the ball on the perimeter, but if you can beat the wide receiver's blocks like Taylor does there, obviously puts North Carolina behind schedule.
Now back to throw. Second down is 17 and complete to Brown, who is dragged out of bounds. If you saw it earlier today, #1 Clemson just survived the upset bid by Boston College, 34-28. Trevor Lawrence missing that game. Dabo Swinney came out after the game and said he will also miss the Notre Dame game next week. Little bobble there by Howell, but they're going to get the playoff. And here comes Carter. Carter cutting to the sideline, and a huge gain as he steps out. Off to a great start. He has 38 on that carry.
Yeah, and you just see the movement they get up front here, Dave. Basically a zone run. Everybody's going to be moving to the left. And then Carter just does a nice job of pressing the hole and then getting upfield. That's surprising against a Virginia defense that's been so good defending the run so far this season.
So the Heels quickly on the move again. First down and 10. And a handoff this time goes to the bruising back Williams. And Tim, as tough as anybody in the country, if you try and take him down on the first tackle, it's not going to happen.
Just amazing how many tackles he breaks. Very rarely does the first guy get him down. And you can describe both backs that way, but Javonte Williams is the back that wants to run you over. There's no question about that.
Yeah, he wants to make it hurt. That one pops up. Howell very sure-handed, but they're going to get to him, and down he goes. No place to hide there for Sam Howell as he takes some punishment and loses 7 yards.
Yeah, he's getting up slow, and I will tell you what, Dave, that is the third time, maybe fourth, I've seen a snap that is high, and basically he's had to kind of deal with it. And when you play these mesh point offenses where you're faking, fly sweeps and things like that, it's imperative in the RPO game, all that stuff, that you have good, clean snaps. They've struggled with that so far. Now Sam Howell's out of the football game.
Out of the game, at least for now, and Jacoby Criswell is in, the 6-foot freshman. And immediately whistles on the first snap that he gets tonight on 3rd down and 11, and a flag down.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
And having some immediate trouble with microphones here tonight.
Hey, that's a coaching point right here, Dave. If you're a quarterback that gets hurt, and you might have to come out of the game, stay down. Because bringing a quarterback into the game when he's not ready, give him an opportunity. Go down. Have the trainers come out and remove you from the field so that Criswell has a chance to work on a snap, as you've been having snap issues, has a chance to throw the football. So that right there is something they can learn from operationally.
All right, a delay of game leading to the forfeited for using an ineligible player in conference action, but both schools count the 1956 game as a W. So the battle goes on and off the gridiron as well. Howell back, but he's going to take immediate contact. He cannot get free as he is taken down by Charles Snowden. Don't look, because he could be everywhere tonight.
Well, Charles Snowden's just going to get home free, untouched. He's on the right side of your screen, number 11. And Sam Howell's trying to get Javonte Williams out of the backfield, but they don't pick up Charles Snowden. He's 6'7", about 240 pounds, and I don't know how you turn him loose in a pass protection, but that's a brutal play, and obviously makes for a much more difficult field goal.
So this will be from 51 yards for Grayson Atkins, only a long of 40 yards this season. And this one is up, and that would head it for the uprights, and that one is good. He nails it. His longest of the season. So North Carolina adds on, now on top 10-6. So 5:28 to go here in the first quarter, and already you're revving up for a lot of points on that scoreboard tonight. Now, Bronco Mendenhall, we were chatting with the Virginia head coach this week, and he considers North Carolina's offense to be almost as good as the Clemson Tigers, the #1 team in the country, when they have Trevor Lawrence.
And I think when you look at them, one of the reasons they're so difficult, Dave, is they've got speed at wide receiver, guys that are good in space. They've got running back after running back. It's a good offensive line, a quarterback that makes good decisions. And I think that, as he was pointing out, all their ball carriers, guys that touch the football, are returning from last year. That experience certainly helps as well.
Kelly decides not to bring it out. So Virginia with the football to begin this drive, and trailing by 4 points here to North Carolina at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck, Katie George with you. Notable opposing quarterback rushing totals this season. This has been a problem to contain these guys for the Heels.
And it's surprising when you look at the speed at linebacker for North Carolina, but it's obviously been something that's gotten them each week.
Here's Kemp now trying that side, and he will scamper out. Billy Kemp, who is #1 in the ACC in receptions per game, and a 4-yard gain there.
You get the sense, Dave, don't you, that it's a multiple offense, right? I mean, not only who's taking the snap at quarterback, but that's essentially an option where they're pitching it out to their best wide receiver so far this season.
Left-handed quarterback gets this one free, and a complete pass. There goes Simpson down the side. No one's going to pick him up. He gets to the 10, the 5. He is into the end zone. 71 yards. Shade Simpson, and no one caught him. And the points continue to come very quickly here tonight in Charlottesville.
Yeah, and it's a matchup with Chaz Surratt, the great linebacker for North Carolina. He's in the middle of your screen. He just comes underneath Billy Kemp, who's trying to set a little bit of traffic for Simpson rather than going over the top. And because he comes underneath, there's no one else left there. And so Chaz Surratt, who's a really good player but still learning the position, decides to come underneath the pick from Billy Kemp. And that sets Shane Simpson free.
And this time Delaney with the extra point. And we are off to the races tonight.
And it's Shane Simpson. It's the first.
Every single day, we don't know what's going to...
7 seconds. That's how fast that one was.
And that hasn't been the hallmark of this Virginia offense this season. They've been looking for big plays, and Shane Simpson delivers there. Kind of a mistake defensively by North Carolina, but Virginia makes them pay.
And they sure did, in a 71-yard scamper to take the lead here. Join us for The Huddle. It all happens on the ACC network with The Huddle next Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on the ACC network.
I'd say there's a lot to talk about in The Huddle, huh?
I would have to say after this weekend, particularly what happened with the Clemson Tigers. 34-28. They did knock off Boston College today. Trevor Lawrence did not play. He'll also miss next week's game against Notre Dame. He tested positive Thursday for COVID-19 as the isolation period and then the cardiac screening as well. Sam Howell trying to spin away, but at the 20-yard line he is dropped once again. It's his new best friend, Charles Snowden.
It is his new best friend. Snowden in his face once again. It's a zone read, kind of almost a version of the option where he's got the ability to give it to the back or spit the ball outside. He doesn't like it outside because it's covered. He's stuck holding the football. And I will say, I do think this is an area where North Carolina finds themselves into some trouble. Sometimes the best thing to do is to call it and run it. Just hand the football off to one of your talented backs.
Out of fire here, but overshoots his receiver, intended for Walson as tight end. Snowden already, by the way, with 3 sacks of the quarterback. And 4 times they have tackled North Carolina for a loss. And we still have 4 minutes to go in the first quarter.
It's one of those things, Dave, when you run this RPO, this run-pass option type offense, you have everybody on the offensive line blocking a run. So if the quarterback is stuck holding the football, they're not pass protecting for him, and we've seen that happen tonight. And now you find yourself in known passing situations.
Howell's going to throw again, and another one incomplete, and a flag down on the play. 4:05 to go here in the first, but a flag down. Intended for Dyami Brown. And Virginia on top by 3.
Number 15.
And pass
defense.
Interference.
15-yard penalty.
That's on Devontae Cross of Virginia.
Yeah, it's kind of a miscommunication, I thought, by Brown and Sam Howell, because Sam Howell looks like he's throwing the vertical. Brown stopping it. Bronco Mendenhall, who usually doesn't get that upset on the sidelines, is furious right now because probably didn't think it was even a catchable ball.
I don't think he's been happy with a string of calls in the last couple of weeks. On the run, it's Williams, and again proving very tough to tackle on first contact. Eventually Snowden, but that's a 6-yard gain for him.
You just look at Javonte Williams. He's kind of a finisher. You know, he just kind of bounces off people, continues to go. You know, a play that looked like could have been stopped for no gain ends up being a 6-yard play for North Carolina.
Williams staying in there alongside Howell. He'll get the carry, staying behind his blockers, and down he goes. As he'll gain 3 yards there. Williams and Carter combined to get almost 230 yards rushing per game. Williams with 12 total touchdowns, which is number 2 in the nation, and man, does he break a lot of tackles.
Yeah, it's just incredible, the strength, and it's one of the reasons I think, Dave, that as you look at these guys and their ability to make people miss, and Javonte Williams especially, sometimes it's okay to just hand it off even if you don't have the perfect look to run the football. A lot of times he makes it right.
3rd and short here for Howell. Trying to bounce outside Williams, but they're going to stretch him out. He breaks one right there, breaks two. He gets across the 50-yard line. Well, that was right on cue for a 13-yard gain.
Well, listen, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Look, it's not blocked correctly. In fact, they've got a free runner in terms of Noah Taylor in the backfield. Then you have Nick Grant. Then you have Zane Zandier. That's three of them. I mean, and that's why I think sometimes you can get too cute offensively. Sometimes just trust the backs, and Javonte Williams is going to prove you right.
The Carter back in there, but he'll throw instead and connects with Brown for a quick strike. You know, both of these running backs support each other incredibly well. We talked to them throughout the week, and they really stick up for each other. And, you know, it's not all balloons and chocolates all the time. It's not always compliments. They will criticize each other, but they do it in the right way, in a positive way. They critique each other's performances, and they find it really pays off. Right through the middle goes Carter before he's dragged down. Michael Carter with the gain for 15 yards.
Yeah, and, you know, to piggyback what you're saying, Dave, with Carter and Williams, you know, they said, you know, Michael Carter talked about we're both humble and we were both born to compete. And the unselfishness in the backfield for North Carolina has made them a much better football team.
Those two guys really lean on each other. Carter with another carry to the left. He is taken down. Just a 2-yard pickup there for Michael Carter. No, North Carolina with the ability to really pour it on. They did it in their NC State victory. 478 total yards, rushing for 252 with these two dynamic backs. Williams back in now for the Heels on 2nd down and 9. Inside the last minute of play in the first quarter. Howell the handoff. Williams again goes right through one man, sheds another tackler before he steps out. Javonte Williams, the junior from Wallace, North Carolina, an 8-yard pickup before Jackson took him out.
Yeah, and this is why you can run into bad looks, is basically that safety, Amos, he's coming down and run support. He's there to make the play at the line of scrimmage, but it's that stiff arm just throwing him off of him. It's just incredible, the power and the angry run of Javonte Williams.
It's going to be very, very close here. Back to that stiff arm a moment ago that you described.
I mean, this is like Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans type stuff right here. I mean, just throwing D'Angelo Amos right off of him. You know, at 5'11", 5'10", 220 pounds, he runs with so much power.
Tarawa is down, the big defensive end, 6'3", about 280 pounds for Virginia. Adib Atarawa out of Sterling, Virginia. And let's go to Katie George on the field.
Well, guys, not only is Javonte Williams so powerful, he's so low to the ground. He says he always wants his pads to be lower than defenders when running the football, making it harder to bring him to the ground. He says he learned that lesson actually playing linebacker for 3 seasons in high school. The low man always wins, and that line of thinking was confirmed by teammates Chaz Surratt and Jeremiah Gimmel. Both backers agree it's extremely challenging to tackle a player who's low to the ground, so knowing his own teammates don't like facing a running back with that kind of ability gives Williams even more motivation to do so on the field.
Yeah, like he needs even more, right?
Right.
I mean, with all of his talent, and as Tim said, he runs angry and then runs over people. Atarawa on his feet, good sign there as he will walk off the gridiron here with 14 seconds to go in the first quarter. And Virginia leading at 13-10 on a quick strike night here on this Halloween in Charlottesville, Virginia. I mentioned earlier today that Notre Dame rolled past Georgia Tech. Notre Dame, the number 4 team in the country. They await Clemson next. Number 3 Michigan lost to Michigan State in Ann Arbor 27-24 in the Big Ten. So 4th down and short. And Howell doing it with the legs, and Carter and Williams just flat doing it as we anticipated.
Yeah, and you know, I think we're not surprised to see North Carolina get off to the fast start, but Virginia has been traditionally a slow starting offense. Not tonight.
So trying to continue this drive and another run here by Carter as they keep it on the ground, which has been such a devastating attack this season for the Heels. That'll gain 2 yards. Virginia losing at Miami in a rain last Saturday, 19-14. It was Virginia's 4th consecutive loss. So, of course, they cannot afford another one here tonight. And playing a very talented North Carolina team in Charlottesville. Carolina, by the way, last 2 drives really controlling the ball and controlling the clock. 2nd down and 8 for the sophomore Sam Howell. And he's going to keep it. He's off to the left side and he scampers into the end zone. A flag is dropped, however. A flag down as Howell went for the end zone.
Offense.
And a hold against Carolina.
2nd down.
A lot of times when you have a big guy, Dave, in this case, you know, a 250-pound tight end trying to block in space against a smaller, quicker player. You see 88 left side of your screen. He just grabs Amos as Amos tries to spin out of the block. And then in the open area, extended arms, grabbing jersey, easy for the official to see.
So instead of the touchdown, a 2nd down and 18 for the Heels. Pressing the matter inside the 20-yard line. The give to Williams, attempting to bounce out as he goes down. Javonte Williams with another carry and earns just 1 yard. This is a century-and-a-quarter rivalry going way beyond the academic excellence of both of these institutions. Of course, Thomas Jefferson founded UVA. The President Woodrow Wilson was a Virginia grad. President James Polk attended North Carolina. Virginia will boast the writer William Faulkner. North Carolina, Thomas Wolfe. It really goes like that through the history of both schools. Howell looking downfield, lots of time. It's batted away and nearly picked off as the football is loose, and Howell will pick it up, but it's dead. As that pass got batted away, Howell had time, then suddenly he didn't.
4th down.
Now he gets stuck holding the football, and again, some of these known passing situations, it's not been the strength. You see him scheme blocking it, pulling the left guard, and Brian Anderson gets beat. Zane Zandier is there, and I have to tell you, this is a fumble. I thought so when it happened, but that ball is out. That's not an incomplete pass. Nobody jumps on the football. Sam Howell literally picks it up. That ball should have been live. That's a clear recovery, and I think he ends up running into the end zone.
Absolutely. He just lost the handle on it. We'll take the break. The play under review. 3-point lead for Virginia. All right, so on the field, it was ruled an incomplete pass. Tim, you think for all the world this should be a fumble and a recovery by North Carolina?
Yeah, and I think it should have probably ended up as a touchdown because of Sam Howell's awareness. Zane Zandier gets to Sam Howell before he throws the football, and that is an empty hand going forward. That is a loose ball, not an incomplete pass. In fact, the official at the bottom left of your screen throws a beanbag, ruling that basically, I think this is a fumble. Howell picks this up.
Prior to his hand moving forward, it's a fumble, which was recovered in the
has been overturned
by the offense. It will be 4th down at the 16-yard line. The clock is correct, and we'll start on my signal.
All right, so the call reversed. It is a fumble, but he was headed for the end zone.
Yeah, but I don't think it was ruled an incomplete pass. Did the official say that there was a whistle that was blown when that ball hit the ground? I mean, Sam Howell played as if it were a fumble, like he did not hear a whistle. And so for them to blow the whistle after Sam Howell has picked it up and started running with it makes no sense. That is a poor job of officiating if that is indeed what happened, because if you're not going to blow the whistle when that ball initially hits the ground, ruling it an incompletion, you might as well continue the play. But to blow it after Howell's picked the ball up and run with it, especially after the official has thrown a beanbag as if he thought that it were a fumble, That just should not happen.
See if you can hear the whistle, if there was one. And he had the presence of mind to scoop it up, and it should have been a touchdown. Katie, you can add to this.
You're exactly right. There was no whistle blown until after Sam Howell picked it up and started heading to the end zone. There was no whistle blown prior to that. Everyone on this North Carolina bench, no one heard it.
Well, clearly by Sam's reaction, Katie, I don't know why.
By rule, for the North Carolina
we
player
would think that there was.
recovered the fumble, and then a whistle was blown after the recovery. It was an inadvertent whistle. By rule, North Carolina has the choice to replay the down at the previous spot. It will be third down.
So by rule, Carolina has the option to replay it from the original spot.
Well, I will tell you that, inadvertent whistle, I don't know the true meaning of inadvertent, meaning like, hey, I got it wrong and blew the whistle, or it was an accidental whistle, whatever the situation may be. It's been a bizarre sequence.
So 3rd and 14 at the 16 for North Carolina. He's going to throw short and complete to Carter. Carter trying to make some additional yards as he bulls ahead. And he will get 3 back. And that'll bring up 4th down. So a bit of a mess there, and 13 minutes to go here before halftime. And Carolina to bring on Grayson Atkins, who has already stuck a long one in this game. And this will be much shorter. This will be from 30 yards for the kicker out of Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Yeah, looking to get the Tar Heels on the board again. And that kick is up, and that kick is perfect. So this one is all tied up 13-13 in the second quarter. Will join us for Sunday Best all day here on the ACC Network. Field hockey at noon. Wake Forest against BC at 1:30. Virginia Tech and BC in women's soccer. Number 5 Duke in women's soccer taking on Miami at 3:30. And then number 13 Notre Dame facing the number 1 team in the country, North Carolina, at 5:30, all on Sunday. Well, a real good one brewing here tonight in Charlottesville, Virginia on Halloween, tied up 13-13. We've seen 5 possessions and 5 scores, Tim.
Yeah, it's been a lot of offense. We've seen everything. We've seen a sustained drive. We've seen the big plays. And I'll be honest, Dave, I like offensive games. When you're not scoring points, not nearly as fun.
I figured you might. As that one will sail right through the end zone. I figured that might be the case.
Now, let's be honest. If we weren't scoring touchdowns, I might leave and just start handing out Halloween candy. Okay? I mean, but since we're scoring touchdowns, I'm sticking around.
Look at Virginia offense on the first drive and the second drive, and quick strikes. And by the way, that's something you can do. You can pretty much reach out of your office window there in Nashville, where you're calling the game from tonight. I'm in New Hampshire. Katie George right there on the field. First down and 10. Rolling Armstrong, the lefty quarterback, is going to fire here. And that one's going to be incomplete. You talk about left-handed quarterbacks. There aren't very many of them. Only 10% of the population is left-handed to begin with. It starts there.
It does start there. We've heard, I think Dabo Sweeney kind of referred to him as Steve Young, maybe, and I think, when you're looking for left-handed comparisons, there aren't as many to choose from. But Brennan Armstrong, a really good football player, and they'll move him either direction. He rolled left there, but they'll move him out to the right as well.
Going to hand off to Talapapa, who drags a couple of tacklers with him. Very tough run there. Surratt bringing him down, but he's going to gain 10. Boomer Esiason doesn't want to be left out of that conversation when you talk about lefties, too. Going to be very short.
He does not. Or Tebow or Matt Leinart. There have been plenty of good ones, so it's not like there can't be a good one. That is for sure. And you know, I think the staff here at Virginia is really excited about his future. Bronco Mendenhall has been very clear. He's their starter. He believes they're a tougher football team with him as their starting quarterback.
On third down, he's going to keep it, takes a hit, and dives across the 30-yard line. Armstrong unable to make much out of that play. That's, in fact, going to lose 3 yards for Virginia.
And this is one where if he has the decision, handing it to Talapapa might have been the right move, because Tyrone Hopper is standing right there as he tries to keep the football and does a nice job of keeping him bottled in as the rest of that pursuit gets there.
So it's our first punt of the game. And Virginia on 4th down and 5. Daz Newsome awaiting the punt for North Carolina. Nash Griffin to unleash the first punt tonight. That tells you something here with 11 minutes to go before halftime and a whistle.
Delay of game. Offense.
And a delay of game.
4th down.
It'll be a 5-yard penalty. Also today, number 5 Georgia got by Kentucky 14-3. A lot of football tonight. Number 2 Alabama facing Mississippi State. Number 3 Ohio State. Number 18 Penn State squaring off. It's nice to be talking about the Big Ten scores again.
Dave, I was thinking the same thing. Just, it's nice to have Saturdays full of college football. You know, Bronco Mendenhall mentioned to us, you know, we weren't sure what it was going to look like this season, but started to feel like some pretty normal Saturdays with all the college football we've been able to watch.
It certainly does. That's a 51-yard punt by Griffin.
Was able to battle back.
Uiagalelei with over 340 passing yards. He's going to have to do it again next week because Trevor Lawrence will not be ready to go coming back from COVID-19 against Notre Dame. There's a dart of a pass, and off to the races. There goes Brown. Joffrey Brown all by himself. He is into the end zone. And another gigantic strike on a night already filled with them. This goes for 76 yards.
Unbelievable. 76 yards is right, and Joffrey Brown doing most of the hard work. It's an RPO, a run past option. They're going to block the run up front, but Sam Howell's just going to pull the ball from Michael Carter and just basically throw a slant to Joffrey Brown, the younger brother of Dyami Brown, who had the long touchdown earlier. I think Mac Brown might say, are there any more that can come play wide receiver for me here? Good Lord, how about that speed?
And the extra point is on the money. Well, that was 12 seconds. Another touchdown drive went 85 seconds. So they are not waiting around and killing time. So it is 20-13 North Carolina.
Well, Dave, Tim, Dyami Brown, he's so complimentary of his younger brother. He said Joffrey's greatest strength is his speed, and that was on full display. Dyami said, I don't know where it came from or how he got it, but he is the fastest player on this UNC team and definitely faster from me. The two of them raced a couple years back, and Dyami said, I'm not racing him again. It's a great gift, and he's got to use it, and that was a perfect example of it.
Well, I would agree with
brothers
that.
have been sensational, and they're doing it in this game. You've got Tamari and Taman Fox on the defensive side for North Carolina. Those brothers. So 20-13 lead here for North Carolina. And Kelly back will watch that sail out of the end zone here for Virginia. So they will look for the quick answer. They've been able to do that tonight. And what has been a wild one already, Tim.
Yeah, it has been a wild one, and you're right, David. They have found the big play, Virginia, but you know, it really is what we expect out of North Carolina. We saw them a number of times last year, and it was the speed of wide receiver that was so good and created so many big plays. We referenced Sam Howell completions of over 30 yards. Now Virginia has to find a way to respond.
So Armstrong on 1st and 10. Rifles that one complete to Kemp. So that goes for 7 for Billy Kemp, who just keeps racking him up. He's #1 in the ACC with about 8.5 receptions per game. And they're going to want to move it quickly here. 2nd down and 3. Brennan Armstrong back to full health. And they're going to hand this one off. And that's going to be Simpson again. Will pick up the yardage straight up the middle. That goes for 13. Stopped by Jeremiah Gimmel with the tackle.
I get the sense, Dave, that they want to get Shane Simpson more involved. The transfer from Townsend, really kind of came in and I think opened some eyes with his ability. Wayne Talapapa's been the guy, but I do feel like they have something else with how they use Shane Simpson.
Flushed out of there now. Armstrong still on his feet. He'll slide ahead. And a nice run by Armstrong for 11. And he picks up a first down.
This is where he's dangerous, Dave. He basically is looking to pass the football, decides to take off as a scrambler, and Dylan Renkensmeyer does a nice job of kind of finding his way to a defender there. And as he takes off running, it's like he may have Billy Kemp down the field, but he kind of started looking off to his right, and as he starts to scramble, sometimes finding where everybody is ends up being difficult.
Simpson back with him again in the backfield. This time it's Thompson in motion. They'll hand off. He can throw it too as a quarterback puts it in the air. A lot of contact there, and that's why the flags are down. Interference. So that play was very confusing for the defense with Keaton Thompson, the 6'4" graduate, putting it in the air.
Number 12, 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Automatic first down.
Well, it wasn't a trick play, and maybe the key on that is when he takes his glove off, he maybe is throwing the football, but they decide to hand him the ball. And he's throwing the ball down the field, and Tamon Fox just doesn't do a good enough job of locating the football. He's really known more as a pass rusher, and as Shane Simpson is running down the sideline, he does a good job of fighting back through the contact. So another trick play from this Virginia offense.
And on to keep. Armstrong trying to cut back inside and stopped on the play after a 2-yard pickup. Virginia with a strong running attack from the quarterback position. Remember, Armstrong coming back after missing a game and a half to the concussion. And while he was out, they shuffled in 3 different quarterbacks. And one of those was Ira Armstead, who didn't even dress for this game tonight here against North Carolina. 2nd down and 9 for the left-handed quarterback. And he will fire that one. Nice catch made on the near side here by Jana, who's had at least 1 catch now in 22 consecutive games after that effort. And a flag down.
Number 42, offense. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
So 10-yard penalty on the hold here against Virginia in this drive with 8:13 to go in the second. And a 20-13 North Carolina lead. Armstrong, the leading rusher tonight for Virginia with 44 yards.
Correction. The holding was on number 42 defense. Penalties decline.
Well, how about that? Goes the other way.
We'll switcheroo. That'll help if you're the Virginia offense. It's interesting seeing Terrell Jana come up with a catch there. I feel like he's kind of been the forgotten guy a little bit, Dave, don't you? A year ago, yes, they had other guys at wide receiver, but Terrell Jana made a lot of plays. In fact, Jay Bateman said he kind of had a field day against us. And I think he's a smart football player. He's got a great feel. He is definitely better playing inside than playing outside, but I just think he's a reliable player that they probably need to find more opportunities for.
A very intelligent player as well. Senior from Vancouver, British Columbia. 1st down and 10 after the reversal of the penalty and incomplete by Armstrong. So bring up the 2nd down here. That was intended for Terrell Jana. So under 8 minutes to go before halftime in Charlottesville. Great to have you with us tonight here in prime time on the ACC network. And fireworks right away in this one, and they've continued. Kelly in motion. Armstrong looking his way, and he's going to fire this one to his tight end, and it's dropped. And that was for Poljan. And an incomplete pass.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete forward pass.
And this to me looks like the right call. Poljan just ran a little bit of an out route. I didn't think that he had enough control of it before it was punched out. And significant, it's going to make for a long, I don't know, looking at it again, I maybe could feel slightly different about it.
And Poljan, who made an absolutely sensational catch last weekend against Miami. Armstrong over the middle and into the end zone, a touchdown. Rashawn Henry. Well, the coaches were telling us midweek, you may want to keep an eye on number 17, and he's into the end zone, an 18-yard touchdown reception.
Yeah, they were telling us that, Dave, because they feel like he's capable. They're going to give him chances. He had a drop earlier tonight. He just does a nice job of getting his body inside. Brennan Armstrong does a nice job of hanging in there with an unblocked defender running at him, finding a throwing lane. Stamon Fox is coming up the field, and that ball is right to the face mask of Rashawn Henry. And they do need some of these wide receivers to step up outside with no Lavelle Davis in the lineup.
The extra point is true, and it is tied 20-20. Virginia, 3 touchdowns on 4 possessions tonight. They have got it. You know, one quarterback playing really well is better than 3 who play okay, but Armstrong is having really a fine night.
Yeah, that's so true, Dave. You know, they've been able to manage their quarterback situation with Armstrong out, but with Armstrong in and then passing the ball as well as he's passed it tonight, kind of see the impact that it's had on this Virginia offense that really had been struggling. So huge difference.
All right, North Carolina and Virginia with a flag down here, engaged in quite a tussle in the South's oldest standing rivalry.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team, by rule, the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
It's a really smart play here by Michael Carter, the returner. Ball's kind of bouncing around. Maybe he isn't going to reach the goal line. So he puts himself out of bounds and touches the football, which then puts the ball as if it were kicked out of bounds, which is why the flag is thrown. That's why he's celebrating. That's a smart play by a really good running back and obviously pretty smart returner.
Yep, that's a senior play. 7:45 left in the half. And Carter, the running back, along with Sam Howell, as they start this from the 35, and he's going to dart that pass and complete. And that'll go for 18. Simmons with the catch. Emory Simmons. Now on the North Carolina side, we were told be ready to see the sophomore from Parkton, North Carolina. That's just his 6th catch of the season. Howell, by the way, 8 out of 9 passing and now 9 out of 10. And once again, going to dart that one to Simmons as he picks up the yardage. And that goes for 21 yards for Howell, who is putting together an outstanding night here in Charlottesville. Well, he had one last year against them when he threw for 4 touchdown passes. And to be dragged out of bounds here, Daz Newsome, after the completed pass, that going to be minus a yard on that play.
That's another play where Noah Taylor does a good job of beating the perimeter block. We saw a play made earlier. That one there was almost a disaster for Daz Newsome. But I think what you see North Carolina trying to do is get the ball to these receivers out in space. They clearly feel like they have an advantage there.
2nd down and 11 for the Heels. Then Howell back to throw. Pressure on him, trying to spin away, but he can't get free as he's taken down, and a loss of 7. It was Nick Jackson with the sack.
It's a play action on second down. You see Nick Jackson's a crosstalk. You see Zandier 0. And Nick Jackson basically switch spots as they come up to the line of scrimmage, and it just isn't sorted out correctly by the North Carolina offensive line. And Nick Jackson basically becomes a free runner at Sam Howell and is able to get him down.
Jackson leading the ACC with about 10.5 tackles a game. Virginia already with 4 sacks tonight. Howell back to throw again, airing it out, a long one to the end zone, and stepping out of bounds with the catch, but incomplete is Brown. So incomplete. Amos with the coverage in the secondary.
I think Dyami Brown actually kind of does a poor job of not leaving his quarterback room and then fading to the football. Yes, this ball is going to maybe land out of bounds, but if you catch it over your shoulder rather than kind of at your hip, there's a chance you can put your feet in bounds. Obviously juggling the football around, but I think more importantly, Virginia getting after them. 4 sacks already tonight. Force a third and long.
This is from 52 yards, and it's not going to get there. Wide to the left. He had hit one earlier from 51, so this remains 20-20 with about 5.5 minutes to go in the half. And every morning on the ACC network, make sure that you join Mark Packer and Wes Durham as they bring you the latest sports news from all 15 schools in the conference. Packer and Durham, weekdays at 7 a.m. on ACC Network and the ESPN app. And if you're very lucky, you'll see Tim Hasselbeck at that hour. But you have to be exceptionally lucky. First down to 10. And on the carry, Talapapa trying to wriggle free for an additional yard or 2. He picks up 4 on that effort. Now North Carolina coming in, the number 15 team in the country. Their only loss to FSU 31-28 at Tallahassee. So they are that close to being undefeated. And there were several drop passes at the end of that game. In fact, 3 of them that cost them the opportunity to win that ball game. A terrific come from behind effort. Armstrong back to throw, and now he's going to run again. He's going to head for that sideline and scamper out of bounds. Inside the last 5 minutes of the half, Armstrong with the carry.
Brennan Armstrong was kind of in a similar situation, not a tie ball game, but at Clemson. They called a bootleg. He throws an interception. It kind of flipped the game for them a little bit. I think it's a kind of a learning experience for Robert Anaya, the offensive coordinator, of how you call plays in this environment. You're knotted up, but you want to obviously possess the football, be great to score. You also don't want to do anything to kind of put your defense in a bad spot defending a short field.
3rd and 4, big play. He's trying to take off again, but that hole closes up on him, and down he goes. Trying to scamper for that first down, but never happened. Fox with the tackle. It loses 6 yards.
Yeah, and you see here, Brennan Armstrong, eyes downfield, but then next thing you know, he's eager to run. And one of the things you can do if you're just going to rush 4 as a defense is twist up front. So see how open that looks, and then all of a sudden here comes Tamon Fox because you're twisting up front. You're running basically, somebody else.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 4, defense. His first of the game. 15-yard penalty. First down. Please reset the game clock to 4:01. 4 minutes, 1 second, please.
Boy, a late flag there on sportsmanlike conduct on Morrison. And will keep the drive alive and give them a first down.
I mean, that is just an awful penalty in that situation. You're getting the football back with about 4 minutes left in the half. Opportunity to end the half with the football, maybe score. Mac Brown writing something down. He's not writing, a grocery list there. He definitely is writing something down to probably remind him to talk to Trey Morrison about how badly you can hurt your football team making a mistake like that.
Boy, you ain't lying there. Remember, North Carolina has already lost a touchdown.
Their first of the half.
To a penalty. Now Virginia will take the timeout. Penalty yards, second most in the ACC for North Carolina. This one really hurts them. We're going to take the break. We're tied up 20-20 in the final 4 minutes.
Well, Virginia's drive is extended from the Trey Morrison penalty, and it's got to drive Mac Brown crazy. He talks about the middle 8 territory. He treasures it so much. The last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 of the second half, and finds himself with his football team making a critical error to extend this Virginia drive.
Bring up a first down and 10, 3:40 to go in the half. Armstrong again on the move, trying to make a couple of moves. There is a flag thrown. So another penalty flag, 3:33 to go in the second quarter.
Holding, number 55, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Timmy, the center, with that penalty.
I tell you what, it's getting kind of chippy out here. You know, you guys kind of getting after each other. Top of the screen here, coming out of the slot. Look at Terrell Jana and Chapman kind of go at it. And as this play continues, just keep your eye on those guys very far from the football. That's Chapman and Jana wrestling out of bounds.
Armstrong wants to throw over the middle, but incomplete. Intended for Jana, but it didn't get there. Tied up 20-20. Both offenses, at least up to this point, had been clicking like nobody's business. They had combined for just under 500 yards here in the first half. So second and long here for Armstrong. Trying to get Virginia on the scoreboard again. Looking to throw. Good pocket. Fires and a completed pass. That had something on it. And Virginia picking up a first down. Jana eventually tackled by the strong safety Grimes.
It's a really good throw by Armstrong here. You see the zone. You see the 2 linebackers split, Gimmel and Surratt, and here comes Jana right in there. Good anticipation by Armstrong. A nice job of just kind of settling down in that hole by Terrell Jana.
And a gain of 21 to pick up the first down. We may look back on that penalty as maybe the key play, certainly of the first half. First down and 10 from the shotgun. He's rolling again and firing. And Jana stepping out. He said he made the reception. And they're going to get together, and it's incomplete.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Second down.
Jana's working the sideline here, and you know, looks like he re-grips the football out of bounds. So even if that foot was, you know, still in bounds, you know, as he contacted the ball,
he
did not possess it cleanly. No.
Right. Heck of an effort, though, by Jana just to keep that foot down. Had he had control, it should have been a completed pass, but he did not. He is still trying to get a handle on it. Armstrong will throw to the near side, and that's incomplete. Intended for Kemp. So Virginia, with time beginning to become a factor here. 2:19 to go in the half. Facing a third down and 10. Bronco Mendenhall told us in our meetings with him this week, third down will decide this game.
Yeah, and I don't think living in 3rd and 10s is exactly what they want to do offensively. It doesn't play to the strength of Brennan Armstrong, even though they've had some success on 3rd and long tonight.
Talapapa flaring out another flag here. A lot of those in the last 5 minutes.
Number 4, offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
They will hit the junior Billy Kemp for that one on a false start. North Carolina, number 15. And 4-1 coming in a real battle against 1-4 Virginia. But the Cavaliers will tell you to a man, they feel like that is not indicative, the 1-4, of how well they have played at times. The stats kind of back them up from what they were a year ago. Again, trying to scramble, and down he goes. Armstrong, no place to run or hide there, and he'll take the loss of 9 yards, and Fox with the tackle.
And Armstrong just gets caught holding the football.
Timeout, North Carolina. Their second of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Tonight.
You see Armstrong, he's looking to the top of the screen. He just ends up holding the football.
Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes, 10 seconds. 2:10, please.
On that drive, it seemed like a fair amount of max protect situations, meaning, you know, they're keeping both backs in to block it up, and it's maybe a three-man route. And, you know, Carolina's playing a lot of coverage and kind of forced Brennan Armstrong to hold the football a few times. The one on the incompletion to Jana on the sideline, and then that sack there. And I will say, you get into situations like that, Dave, and 3rd and long, and I think especially for a young quarterback, the idea that you're going to get a first down on 3rd and 15 is highly unlikely. Just the feeling, you know, of taking a sack, even though it probably doesn't amount to much, whether you're punting either way, if you would have just handed the football off, just from kind of a morale, how it feels standpoint, can really help your quarterback out. And so, I think looking back at that situation, screen, draw, maybe even a quarterback draw, pick up 7 yards, punt, whatever it may be, just creates a different feeling rather than having a frustrated quarterback on the sideline.
Well, both offenses pretty choppy here, with plenty of penalties in the last several minutes of the half. And so Virginia forced to punt on 4th and 24. Toe Groves with a fair catch, and he lost the handle on it, and they swarm on the football. Virginia says they have it, and indeed they do. Groves mishandling that, and the Cavaliers.
The kick was muffed by the receiving team, recovered by the kicking team.
First turnover of the game.
Yeah, Toe Groves is coming up the field and just kind of doesn't squeeze the elbows. That ball goes right between his arms and hits him in the chest and pops out. And then good hustle by the coverage team of Virginia. The punter's excited. He should be excited. And this kind of still goes back to that penalty that extended the possession. This kind of still part of that possession when you think about the fumbled punt.
Well, time to do something with it now. Here's on to carry Simpson. Simpson trying to bounce outside. Took a couple of hits before he's taken down. Shane Simpson making his presence felt in this one. Hollins eventually with a tackle, but he's going to gain 6 yards. That brings up 2nd down here for the Cavaliers. Trying to capitalize on what could be a huge turnover in a 2020 game. And knocking on the door. Brennan Armstrong with his tight end. Poljan, who is such a reliable target for him. He's going to flare this one out instead to Kelly. Kelly trying to sideline, and out he goes. He got very close to that pylon. Chased out by Renee, but a big play. 1st and goal.
Yeah, Terrell Jana just does a nice job of setting a pick. You mentioned him being a smart football player. Top of your screen, you're just going to basically run a little traffic. Turn, look for the football, and what that does is it kind of sets a pick on Trey Morrison, who really has Kelly coming out of the backfield or into the flat.
1st and goal for Armstrong and Virginia in a 2020 game. Talapapa in motion, but a whistle and a timeout. So Virginia will take one here.
Timeout, North Carolina.
Actually, North Carolina will take it.
Timeout of the half.
And their 3rd and final timeout with 1:17 left. And Brennan Armstrong, who has bounced back so nicely from the concussion that cost him a game and a half, and trying to punch it into the end zone once again for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the bounce back. I mean, he really has done a nice job doing it all tonight, running the football well. We mentioned he's been a tough, gritty competitor, running the football, you know, and then throwing the football. Done a nice job. Finds Simpson on the little flare that ends up going for about 70. I feel like he's seen things well tonight as a passer, which has been a little bit different than his previous starts. You're seeing the impact on the offense tonight.
He's passed for 2. He's rushed for 1. And he's thrown for 159 yards so far. First and goal. Thompson bouncing outside, and in he goes for 6 points. Keaton Thompson is proving to be quite a weapon and has Virginia in the lead here in the final moments of the first half.
Keaton Thompson is quite a weapon, but you could have put anybody back there to run this. Look at how well this is blocked. This is an excellent job by Tony Poljam, the tight end, of securing the edge, caving it all in, and then Wayne Talapapa doing a good job of leading it up in there as well. Ryan Nelson, the left tackle. The offensive line, tight ends back, doing it all in terms of getting Keaton Thompson a walk-in touchdown.
And the extra point makes it 27-20 Virginia. Thompson with his first rushing touchdown of the season. He's played some quarterback. He's also played some wide receiver, the transfer from Mississippi State. Rumbling into the end zone. You're right, you could have driven a truck through that hole. And Virginia with 1:14 before the break, leading by 7.
I think Keaton Thompson likes playing on Halloween, right? Because he's a quarterback, but he's wearing number 99. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
He's lined up at wide receiver. He just lined up at running back and ran one in for a touchdown. Is the Halloween not made for him? Is that he just
absolutely
bunch of different costumes?
A full moon as well tonight over Charlottesville, and Virginia out in front 27-20 on number 15 North Carolina. When they played last year, these two teams, it was maybe the best game that we broadcast in the ACC all season long. It was a shootout, 38-31. Virginia won the game. Bryce Perkins, the quarterback for the Cavaliers, was sensational. He accounted for 5 touchdowns in that contest. Carter's going to take it. And across the 20-yard line, looking for a bigger hole, and down he goes, shy of the 30. The last year was a hugely important win for Virginia because they became bowl eligible that night, Tim.
Yeah, this was a fun one. You're not lying. Dyami Brown in that one, this one, and Bryce Perkins not in this one, but man, was he in the one last year. He was so fun to watch. Basically, felt like he was putting the team on his back. What a fun player to see in person, which we got to do a number of times last year. And Bronco was so excited, he decided to do high knees on the sideline. That's how good it was.
It was a dandy of a football game. Howell was terrific as well. 4 touchdown passes. Remember, just a freshman at that point, and had a remarkable ball game. Williams trying to get the edge there. Javonte Williams with the carry. With just over a minute to go before halftime, he'll gain 1 yard there. The other thing I remember about that game, not a single turnover in that contest. It was a really clean game, really fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, we kind of saw the quick strike offense, and we saw it last year, and I think it kind of applies to this situation here with a minute left. Still dangerous territory for Virginia when Sam Howell is pulling the trigger.
He's going to throw long, and a completed pass for a big first down. Complete to Dyami Brown for 36 yards on that game.
And I just think this scenario is set up for North Carolina offensively. They like going fast. They have speed on the perimeter. And you know, I think Virginia needs to make a decision of kind of how they can try to fool Sam Howell in this 2-minute situation.
He'll step back, look downfield. He throws, and another completed pass spinning away. And Carter getting down to the 5-yard line. It's Daz Newsome down to the 5-yard line. That's a 29-yard pickup. And Nick Grant preventing a touchdown.
I think Virginia's kind of late getting lined up and a little bit of confusion. And when they do, they don't have leverage. You see Amos, the middle of the field safety. You see Clary, number 14, doesn't drop back underneath that seam pattern by Daz Newsome.
20 seconds to go. Howell looking for the end zone, darts it to the back of the end zone, and it's tipped away. Good coverage by Devontae Cross to break it up, intended for Joffrey Brown. And 16 seconds remaining.
Yeah, look, with 16 seconds remaining, you're thinking you at least have 2 shots you know, in terms of time on the clock. And so, you know, chances are, you know, you're throwing to the end zone with anything you do. It's like what they did there. You need to throw the ball into the end zone. Throwing it inbounds kind of puts you into a situation where it would be hard to stop the clock.
Howell's had a big half. No timeouts remaining here for the Heels. 2nd down and goal. He's going to throw again, and that's again incomplete, but a flag is down in the end zone with 12 seconds on the clock. Intended for Newsome.
Pass interference, number 14, defense. By rule, the ball be placed at the 2-yard line. 1st down.
Antonio Clary with the interference.
Listen, this is okay. Pass interference here. Quite honestly, pass interference on the next play as well is okay if you're Virginia, because, you know, at some point there's not going to be enough time to continue to take shots at the end zone. You're going to end up having to kick a field goal.
So from the 2-yard line, Javonte Williams already with 10 rushing touchdowns this season. It'll be a pass and mishandled off the hands there of Newsome, and a loose football way back at the 20-yard line.
And that's backwards. That's a lateral, Dave. That's not a forward pass, which means the half is over.
That's the end of the first half.
That is the end of the first half.
It's a backward pass.
Ruled a backwards pass. And a free football. And the clock running to zeros. What a wild end to this first half.
Well, a wild end, and I don't like the play because the possibility of this. So Sam Howell's throwing it from what looks like about the 8-yard line.
On the field of a backward pass is under further review. The half is not over.
All right, so this play is under review. Players were already leaving the field.
Well, listen, it was
assuming that the first half was over.
Yeah, it was ruled a backward pass on the field. They could review it, but I don't think there's going to be anything that overturns it. And so, you know, the question ends up being is if they're reviewing it. Think about this now. If they're reviewing it.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is halftime.
So now we can go to half. First half that saw 3 lead changes, 2 ties, and a whole lot of offense. And a lot more to come. Virginia at the break on top 27-20 on number 15 North Carolina. Very entertaining, certainly unless you're a defensive coordinator. And that's a whole other kettle of fish. But if you like points and you like them coming quickly, you enjoyed that half.
I mean, it was a great first half. Offensively, so many fireworks. I would expect to see more of the same, quite honestly, in the second half.
Let's go to Katie George.
Matt, there was a series of unfortunate events there for your special teams and your defense. Your offense almost gets into the end zone.
Yeah, the first half, 27-20. Virginia with the lead at the break over number 15 North Carolina. Dave O'Brien alongside Tim Hasselbeck and Kate.
Some penalties here. You see, obviously, you know, telling the story of the game as well, but been a little bit surprised to see how well Virginia has played offensively and obviously get a good shot at it to start the second half.
All right, so just getting the second half underway as we go to Katie George.
Well, guys, Bronco Mendenhall was happy with his offense's consistency, balance, time of possession, and ball control. He thinks his defense did a nice job slowing down both Carter and Williams and getting pressure on the quarterback. He also felt like they did a nice job with their red zone defense, but again, it comes down to limiting the big plays. He said the explosive plays are why the score is where it's at.
Plus a huge pass interference. Little toss here for Simpson, who certainly made a name for himself in the first half. Shane Simpson will pick up 5 yards here. And tackled by Surratt, but just getting underway here in Charlottesville. A 2nd down and 6 for Armstrong. A little play action. Looking downfield, heading for the sideline with that pass, but it's going to be caught. And flags are down. We saw a lot of penalty markers at the tail end, Tim, of the first half, so play got pretty choppy there, really on both sides.
It really did.
Holding. Number 5, defense. The penalties declined. Result of the play, first down.
You see Patrice Rene called with the defensive holding, and I think the North Carolina sideline was actually thinking that Billy Kemp was going to get called for a push-off. They were a little surprised by the call, but looked like at the top of Billy Kemp's route, Patrice Rene grabbed the hold a little too much jersey.
So 1st and 10 for Armstrong on the opening drive of this half. Looking for an edge outside as he goes out. Armstrong so good carrying the football. In the first half, he was quite deadly, and he picks up 4 here.
And it's the design quarterback runs that I think Jay Bateman from North Carolina, their defensive coordinator, thought, look, that's probably what they do best, is find ways where it's a scripted run. But I've really been impressed with Brennan Armstrong's ability when things break down on a called pass play as a runner.
2nd down and 7 for Virginia. And here he comes again straight ahead. And a big gainer as he is tripped up. But he'll get the first down easily. For 16 yards he goes.
Yeah, this is a design run here. This is a quarterback draw. And you can tell because Wayne Talapapa, 21, is going to end up being a lead blocker. Look at him fly up to Gimmel, the middle linebacker. And then Brennan Armstrong just follows him. Just such a challenge for the defense because everything looks like pass originally. And then here comes a lead blocker and a quarterback who really runs like a fullback coming into the secondary.
That's a great point. He does not mind contact. He's not just going to slide ahead. He will fire here, and that is going to be broken up by Carolina. Intended for his tight end, Poljan. They've actually done a very good job on him so far tonight. Trey Morrison busted it up.
They have done a good job on Poljan. You've mentioned it a few times this season. It's a great conference for tight ends. Tony Poljan, it doesn't get talked about as much as some of the other guys, but he is a good one. There's no doubt about it.
Kemp in motion. Armstrong looking to throw again, and it's complete. And right on cue, there's the tight end for another first down. That'll gain 16 yards. You know, the ACC boasts 3 of the top 4 pass-catching tight ends in the country. Hunter Long at Boston College, #1. Noah Gray at Duke, #2. Poljan, #4 in receptions.
Yeah, he's really good, and the quarterback play's been, unstable, if you will, at Virginia. So to be kind of in that mix, considering what their passing game has looked like, says a lot about how they try to get him the football no matter what.
So Thompson back in there running the offense at quarterback, at least for this play. He's going to tuck it and run. Number 99 on the loose as he gets down to the 20. And a 5-yard pickup. Stopped by Taylor, but they will do that from time to time. Bring on Keaton Thompson. Not to pass the football necessarily, but able to pick up large chunks on the ground. And 2nd down coming up.
But Dave, I wouldn't be surprised if that was him at quarterback running the football to set something up to try to draw North Carolina into some type of run defense when he's lined up at quarterback.
Once again before he is upended, but he's a very tough runner too. And a stop by Kelly.
This is just quarterback power here, basically. They're going to pull guys around and get a kick out block and pour it up in there. But I think with these mini packages, as they were described by Bronco Mendenhall, for these different quarterbacks that they've had play, you do need to come up with some type of wrinkle for Keaton Thompson as a thrower. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that tonight.
1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. Armstrong back in and throwing short. And a completed pass. That one to Jana will gain 4 yards. So on the quick hit, they're moving the football again. Virginia on top, 27-20. Early stages of the 3rd quarter here at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia. So Armstrong lines them up again. 2nd down and 6 for the Cavaliers. trying to knock off the number 15 team in the country. He's going to throw for the end zone, and incomplete, intended for the tight end again, but flags everywhere on the play. Well, he wanted Poljan in the back of the end zone.
Pass interference, number 9, defense. By rule, the ball replaced the 2-yard line. First down.
That's on Cameron Kelly, number 9 for Carolina, the pass interference.
You just get the sense here that North Carolina defensively on their heels. You know, whether it's been the shifts, the motions, the different players lined up at quarterback. Another long sustained drive by Virginia.
And first and goal, Armstrong heading for the end zone, but he's going to be denied. Got nothing on that carry as he darted off to his left. And second and goal forthcoming. Now Virginia trying to gain serious control of this one. And Talapapa, big hole, he's into the end zone for a touchdown. Wayne Talapapa, the junior from Hawaii. And another score for the Cavaliers. An impressive drive.
And this is just getting blown off the football here. Move to the left side of this offensive line. I'm not even sure that North Carolina is lined up correctly. You see Rankensmeyer, Nelson just pointed down in there. Grant Mish, Tony Poljan doing a good job, but that's just too easy.
Delaney on for the extra points. The first time that either side has led by more than one score. And the extra point is good. So Virginia and their offense is certainly going in the right direction. It had really scuffled Tim in the 4 defeats, but not tonight.
Been a totally different story, and we've seen them a few times, and a lot of it has been traced back to the quarterback play. Not an issue tonight, obviously, and they look like a completely different offense than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they ripped up 21 consecutive points inside the 5. Here comes Carter, looking to return the kick across the 20-yard line for North Carolina, and they need to pull it together. As we take a look at our New York Life drive recap, they certainly didn't on that final play of the first half, huh?
Well, and that ends up being the key. With Virginia's offense playing well, you got to take advantage of your opportunities. For the half with about 12 seconds left, the decision not to throw the ball into the end zone, but throw a pass that could be deemed a lateral, basically means you're giving up 3 points because the half ends, not to mention your opportunity for a touchdown had you thrown it into the end zone. And we talked about that middle 8, you know, the last 4 and then the first 4. You know, in terms of the first half, second half, you know, Mac Brown can't be happy. Don't come away with points at the end of the first half, and then the second half starts with Virginia going on, you know, an 11-play drive where they just jam it down your throat for a score.
It's puzzling, regardless of who the quarterback is, but your quarterback is Sam Howell on a play like that. They gained 9 on the first play. And now on the carry, Williams taken down on play number 2, stopped by Zandier after he gains 4. And it could wind up being a really huge play in this one. But now Virginia up by 2 scores, leading at 34-20. And Howell trying to establish some sort of a groove. He's got first and 10 right now for North Carolina. And a handoff, Williams. Williams bowling ahead. Will pick up an extra yard or 2 after contact, and he gains 4.
You know, I think for North Carolina, one of the things I like about them offensively is they lean on you and lean on you and lean on you with the run. And then all of a sudden they pick up a first down. They're at the line of scrimmage quickly, and it's shot down the field. But, you know, you start to get behind too much. Obviously, 2-score game here. You know, that leaning on you in the run game, you know, doesn't wear on you the same way it does in a closer contested matchup.
Second down 6. Howell on the move, can't get rid of it, and they're going to drag him down. And once again, Charles Snowden comes up along with Mandy Alonso.
Yeah, this is a disaster for North Carolina. Again, protection an issue. Double A gap pressure They don't sort it out. Zandier's a free runner. Now Sam Howell's got to throw it away. I've said it a number of times this year. Less adventure on throwaways. Throw the football away. Instead, he's stuck holding on to the football. Zandier and Snowden kind of have him corralled in, punch the football out, and Mandy Alonso's there to pick it up. Making a bad situation worse at the quarterback position. It just can't happen if you're Sam Howell.
So now 10 tackles and 3.5 sacks in this one as Virginia takes it back on the fumble. And Armstrong will fire this one short and completed to Kemp. That's a 3-yard pickup.
But the other thing Matt Brown said was, our defense hasn't done a good job in sudden change. This obviously a sudden change scenario in defending a short field with the ball on the plus 30-yard line for Virginia.
2nd down and 7 coming up here for the Cavaliers. And a receiver in motion and a handoff. And straight ahead it's Simpson. Simpson will gain 6 on that carry. He's been a really nice weapon tonight for the Cavaliers.
He really has, and I think that, with kind of the way the offseason went, and kind of, the transfer comes in, trying to figure out a role, and the coaches are learning the players. I think, having some use for him in the passing game initially, kind of got him involved, and I think that's helped kind of grow his role in the run game.
3rd and short. Talapapa on the carry as he is tied up in the center of the line. Going to be close here. On the run by Talapapa. Stopped by Tamon Fox. So really close. And 4th down coming up, and they will go for it. Kemp on the move. Fourth down and short. Armstrong will carry that, and he will pick up a first down for Virginia. Brennan Armstrong.
I like the play call, Dave. When you think about, Bronco Mendenhall talking about maybe taking chances, finding times and opportunities to take chances. It's a 2nd, 4th down scenario. We've seen them go for it, and 2nd conversion we've seen.
I'll tell you, the deeper the game gets, the more confident and comfortable Brennan Armstrong looks running this offense. He is back to throw, and over the middle right at the goal line, and diving in for the score is Poljan. Well, an outstanding catch, and then the extra effort, 17 yards and another Virginia touchdown.
Well, this is one of those ones where the ball leaves his hands, and I think, this is a bad idea. There's a middle of the field post safety, and you're throwing the ball to the middle of the field. That's a dangerous throw. But because Cameron Kelly kind of gets shielded off by Tony Poljan's big 6'7" frame, Brennan Armstrong gets away with it, and now this Virginia offense has already scored over 40 points.
41-20. They are pounding away on the Tar Heels. We talked about Poljan. They had shut him down for most of the night. That is no longer true.
He had a pretty impressive performance.
Well, it sure has been. And the spooky part of it, of course, is that North Carolina is 4-1 coming in, and Virginia's lost 4 consecutive games, but they have borne very little resemblance to that team tonight, haven't they?
You're exactly right. Think about this. Missed field goal, followed by a muffed punt, then that disastrous end of half situation, and then a fumble by Sam Howell to start the 2nd half. I mean, I don't care what you've done in the previous 5 weeks of the season. That right there is not a recipe for success.
So Howell trying to lead the Tar Heels back. 1st down and 10. And a slip by Michael Carter as he goes down. And eventually Nick Jackson gets credit for the tackle, but that'll lose 2 yards.
Yeah, and that basically looks kind of like a microcosm of the night for North Carolina. You know, Carter with some room to run just loses his footing and goes down.
It's a clear night with a full moon in Charlottesville. Howell unleashing the pass, and that'll be caught by Brown. Trying to unleash Dyami Brown on the Virginia secondary. That happened early in the game. But now they're trailing North Carolina 41-20. 3rd down 5 for Sam Howell and the Heels. Virginia led at halftime 27-20. Back to throw. And indeed hits Brown on the near sideline, and he'll pick up 8 yards and a 1st down.
And we've seen this with these fast tempo offense. You want to get that first down, Dave. Now be quick. And I'm a little bit surprised that we're not seeing, I guess here they come, but North Carolina at that point, now go fast. Get into your rhythm. Down 21.
It's an offense that leads the ACC in total yards per game, 531, second to Clemson in points per game, averaging 38. Howell complete again to Brown, and will pick up another 1st down. So an 18-yard gain there to move the sticks.
And you see the difference when the pocket is clean. And again, a little surprised, and maybe it's Phil Longo trying to get a look at when Virginia's bringing pressure.
Quarterback will keep it, and Howell will move on out of bounds. Sam Howell with the carry. But continuing to move those chains. And I'm with you. You'd expect a more rapid-fire tempo than this, wouldn't you, down by this kind of score?
I would, Dave, but I'm kind of getting the sense that Phil Longo is sick and tired of having busts up front with some of that double A gap pressure from Virginia. And so he wants to slow it down to get a look at it.
Howell's got to run now, and he gets it to the 30-yard line. He will pick up a hard-earned 2 yards on that carry.
That was just a straight 4-man rush, I believe. And you know, part of what happens is, and I don't care who you are at quarterback, but I guess Nick Jackson is adding on here, and he does a good job of just retracing steps. But that's a little bit different pressure than what Sam Howell's been seeing in the first half.
On the carry, it's Carter, but got nothing. Did not gain an inch on that one to bring up 3rd down for North Carolina. And this is where Bronco Mendenhall was talking about this season. Bronco also this week describing how 3rd down is so vitally important for his defense to stop Carolina on plays just like this. 3rd down and 8. Williams again in the backfield. He's going to throw it short, and a nice grab made over the middle, and they'll pick up the 1st down. And that was Williams, and they'll gain 9 on that pass.
This is a great catch. Normally when you're throwing the backs, you want to keep it in the framework of their body. Just run a little bit of an angle route. There's a throwing lane there, and Sam Howell just kind of misses high and out front. But that's a tremendous play Javonte Williams makes to get the 1st down.
Williams on the carry, trying to bounce outside. And it looked like the football came free for a moment, but no turnover. Nick Jackson with another stop for Virginia.
The ball was fumbled forward and out of bounds. We'll be returned to the spot of the fumble. 2nd down. Clock will start on my signal.
And a 6-yard pickup.
He's going down, and that ball comes out there. I think it's Ed Montelis who's hustling down the field. It's never easy for those big guys to recover it cleanly.
So to the 15-yard line. Howell with only 3 incompletions in this one. Trying to dance up the middle. It's Carter, and he gets down to the 10.
Dances right. You just kind of see the vision, patience, shiftiness. Michael Carter. And if I'm Phil Longo, I'm going to continue with as much football as left to continue to make sure these backs are touching the football enough.
First and goal, and as Brownie is into the end zone. Dyami Brown with a reception for the touchdown.
It's another RPO with a slant coming in behind, and Dyami Brown again, and it's one of those things where you have two defenders there to make the play for Virginia. Neither one of them can make it, but it's a split zone run play. All the offensive line moving to the left. And just a good decision by Sam Howell to pull it and spit it out to Dyami Brown.
Atkins with the extra point. That's 3 touchdown passes for Sam Howell. He has 3 incompletions in this game. 7 Virginia. Tar Heels about to kick off. And that drive, 11 plays, 75 yards, and into the end zone. Here's Kelly. Trying to make a spin move, but he's denied. So Virginia with 46 seconds to go in the third to get the football back again.
Well, guys, Tim Cross, the UNC defensive line coach, put it perfectly over here on the sideline. He said this is a heart check, which was then followed by the younger Fox brother being the voice of reason. He said, we're in this game. No more long faces. We have the offense to be able to do it. Let's refocus, do our job on our side. So the sophomore really urging this defense to pick it up.
Now, they've recently had a comeback fall short against FSU for their only loss of the season. And here goes Simpson once again. Simpson breaking free of a tackle as he gets out near the 50-yard line. Stopped by Surratt, but he picks up 30 yards.
And North Carolina just gets gashed with this run here, away from the pressure that's coming, and do a good job of covering everyone up. And then Simpson does a good job of breaking the tackle from Kelly. And Jay Bateman's group on the defensive side of the ball has got to find a way to do something. 8 total drives so far they've defended from this Virginia offense, and they've allowed 6 touchdowns, and this drive for Virginia already off to a good start.
And Shane Simpson out of Easton, Pennsylvania, the 5'11", 200-pounder. He's been something of an... Lawrence is not going to play against Notre Dame next week. You're talking about an ACC championship. It may come down to tonight for North Carolina, and a tremendous play here on the near sideline on the pick. And it's Gimmel with the diving play.
Interception.
For the interception.
Well, Dave, you said it. It's kind of getting late early for North Carolina, and one of the things that can change that is a takeaway, and this is a great instinctual play by Gimmel. He's the inside backer. He recognizes what they're trying to do. It's actually Patrice Rene who's in the coverage, but he just runs underneath it and cuts it off, and Brennan Armstrong can't believe it. He's late to the flat, leaves it inside a little bit, but that is a great play by Jeremiah Gimmel as he decides to just run underneath that route after diagnosing it.
Well, you saw the reaction by Armstrong, the hand of the helmet. Let's see how big that turns out to be for North Carolina. And Howell on the move will spin. He's been so good in the fourth quarter individually in his first 2 seasons running the offense for the Tar Heels. He's never thrown an interception in the fourth quarter.
He's been great. That's a good example there, though, Dave, where he's got to hand the football off. It's an RPO. He decides to pull it, doesn't like the route downfield.
He's going to air it out. He's going deep, and that one nearly intercepted. Intended for Dyami Brown, and Nick Grant breaking that up, but nearly picked.
It was nearly picked, and this is why if you're the receiver, you got to fight back through contact in this. You spin Nick Grant around. Ball's a little bit underthrown and inside. There's some contact kind of at the moment of truth with the football, but if you will fight back towards the football through the defender, the collision looks bigger and you end up getting the call. Something that Dyami Brown could have done right there to help his quarterback.
3rd down and 8 for North Carolina. Howell in the pocket, going to throw over the middle and finds a receiver wide open. It's Newsome. to haul that one in. And that goes for 30 yards.
And this is a great play by Sam Howell. He actually starts with Daz Newsome, doesn't like it, goes back outside, then comes back to Newsome, isn't able to kind of follow through because Zane Zandier's arm is there, but to drop that down to Daz Newsome is an incredible play by Sam Howell.
Now to throw again, looking for the end zone, and it's going to be out of bounds. And incomplete, the coverage by Cohen King.
And it was a good coverage by Cohen King. He's basically kind of undercutting the corner route. It was one of the reasons Sam Howell kind of led Daz Newsome as far as he did outside. And that ball clearly is caught out of bounds.
So Javonte Williams in the backfield. He'll take the carry, trying to get outside before they stop him. He'll gain 4 yards there. Now the Tar Heels came storming back from an ugly 31-7 hole in the final moments against FSU a couple of weeks ago. They had a shot at what would have been a remarkable come-from-behind win. They had 3 different receivers drop a pass inside the last minute, forcing a turnover on downs, and that sealed the ball game. Trying to come back again here tonight in Charlottesville. 3rd down and 7. Now throws again, complete to Brown. Brown looking to scamper into the end zone, and he's in for a touchdown. Dyami Brown again. That's a 13-yard touchdown strike for North Carolina.
Yeah, and it's man coverage. And just a little arrow route, and just a great job of Dyami Brown losing Devontae Cross. Just too much speed, and then good strength running through the tackle from Amos. You see that there, kind of sell the shallow cross, bounce back out of it, and Devontae Cross just doesn't look like he can run with Dyami Brown. It's incredible.
41-33 with 13:09 to go here in the 4th quarter. So a ton of time. And Grayson Atkins on for the extra point. North Carolina inching closer, and that one true. And it is now 41-34.
Well, we saw North Carolina battle back against Florida State, trying to do it here against Virginia. Sam Howell to Dyami Brown once again.
This one up. Dyami Brown, the outstanding wide receiver, the junior from Charlotte, just hauled in his 3rd touchdown catch of the ball game. He had 3 for the season coming into play tonight. So Carolina kicking off, and Kelly will put a knee down. Let's take a look at that pick.
Yeah, it looked like, you know, Virginia's kind of be able to close this thing out. It's Jeremiah Gemmel, great instincts, seeing it running under Billy Kemp for the interception, which ultimately leads to Sam Howell finding Dyami Brown once again for, as you said, Dave, his 3rd touchdown of the night. What a night so far for both Howell and Dyami Brown.
Keep in mind the Virginia lead was 21 with under 1 minute to go in the 3rd. And now 41-34. Armstrong will keep it, looking to move outside and trying to fight ahead to the 30-yard line. He'll pick up 5 yards on that carry. And almost 13 minutes remaining, Tim.
If I'm Robert Anae, I'm relying heavily on the run game. And that means quarterback runs. It means runs with Keaton Thompson. I'm really picking my spots in terms of letting Brennan Armstrong throw the football.
They will keep it on the ground, and the carry is Taulapapa as he's stacked up in the center of the line. But able to move it, a flag down. Now Virginia has been effective on the ground, 5.3 yards per rush tonight. And here's the call.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 2. Defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
It's another really dumb play by North Carolina. You see coming from the left side of your screen, Don Chapman just come flying in as, you know, Shane Simpson is being held up and just cleaning off an offensive lineman standing around the pile. And look, it's really easy for officials to see. It's kind of like a frustration penalty. You think about the one earlier to Morrison, that one there. Two brutal mistakes by secondary players for North Carolina.
Yes, some very, very costly penalties for the Heels this evening. Armstrong's going to run it now. Trying to move outside. He'll slide on down. But his mobility is such a big, big weapon. He'll pick up 4 yards.
And Robert and I would much rather this when he calls pass plays in this scenario. If it's not perfectly clear, then Brennan Armstrong, do this. And also, don't be afraid to go ahead and protect yourself. I think that's kind of good growth we've seen out of Armstrong. Knowing when you lower your shoulder to try to go get a first down. And also knowing, hey, listen, it's okay. Pick up 4, get down, play another play on second down.
He's Virginia's leading rusher tonight with 62 yards. On the carry, Simpson. You mentioned the offensive coordinator, Robert Anae. It remains one of the better stories that when he was done playing, Robert returned home to Hawaii and served as the model for the towering surfing statue, which stands proudly on Waikiki Beach. I'll tell you what, I would tell that story every day of my life if I were Robert.
I thought that there were a few beaches in New Hampshire that have statues of you. Is that not accurate?
Those beaches have summarily closed. No further visitors, please. 10:41 to go in this one. And keeping it on the ground again, it's Taulapapa. He was also a star growing up in high school in Hawaii. And a big, big call here. 4th down coming up, and they're awfully close here, just inches away.
And it looks like their offense is out there. You think you've converted on 2 4th and shorts already this evening. Would not be surprised if they do go ahead and snap this and have some type of read for the quarterback. Either give it to the back or possibly even quarterback power.
Taulapapa stacked up that time. Boy, it's going to be close.
It's going to be close, but I think it's a great second effort by Taulapapa. You know, he's met at about the line of scrimmage and does a nice job of spinning out of it and then continuing to kind of just drive those legs. That's just great running back effort for the first down. See the collision there at the line of scrimmage with Cameron Kelly. But he's just able to continue to kind of spin out of it, out of the contact, and continue to drive his legs. That's a heck of an effort.
Heart. Yep. To pick up the first. And a big, big play there for the Cavaliers. And again, the ground game continues, and straight ahead, and a really, really tough run there by Shane Simpson before he stopped by Surratt.
And this is what I mean a little bit about relying on the run game if you're Robert or not. I mean, I just feel like North Carolina is reeling. I mean, we're just in a situation where, I mean, that's a 9-yard run on first down after they just were able to kind of bully you a little bit for a first down on a 4th down play. And not only do you kind of just slow the game down, you know, shorten it, if you will, just imposing your will a little bit on this North Carolina defense.
Thompson back in at quarterback, Kemp in motion. Fake the handoff to him. He's going to dart outside. He's very difficult to bring down on the initial contact too, and that'll get him the first down. Dede Hollins with the stop, but too late to prevent the first down. So 41-34 Virginia, and once again Armstrong will return at quarterback for the Cavaliers, and that clock continues to run. Still 8.5 minutes to go, but look at the rushing yards. Now Virginia approaching 200 yards on the ground, and we came on the air justifiably raving about Carter and Williams for North Carolina. Virginia with 13 first downs on the ground, and flags down. 8:10 to go.
Offside. Number 15, defense unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, I mean, Hollins is trying to time up his blitz here. It looks like he's trying to time up the motion and blitz, and I mean, he's about 3 yards across the line of scrimmage and decides to turn around and point at Tony Polchin like it was somehow his fault. It has got you.
So 1st down and 5 with Armstrong back at the quarterback. And he will carry it across the 20-yard line. And there aren't many programs that can say, well, we're really comfortable with our quarterback carrying it, 20, maybe 25 times in a game, given the fact that he can also throw it so effectively.
Yeah, and it's usually hard to do that. It's hard to throw the football when you're tired after you've just been fighting for extra yards, but he does a nice job of it, and then they supplement it with Keaton Thompson. And sitting here at 2nd and 1, I would continue to pound the football.
Coming up on the 7-minute mark here in the 4th quarter. Virginia trying to find the end zone again. And the quarterback will throw, and it's going to be incomplete, as he wanted Rashawn Henry, but incomplete.
And I think that was a you check, we check scenario where, before the snap, it looked like there was going to be a corner blitz. They didn't get it. And then basically they checked out of it. Rashawn Henry falls down running to the corner. Well, not the best ball of the night by Brennan Armstrong, but that's one you'd like to see your receiver make in this situation.
Virginia eating up a lot of the clock. This drive right here is a little bit over 6 minutes. And another carry, continuing to stay on the ground. That was Keaton Thompson.
And that's that same play we saw in the first half, Dave, where Thompson is motioned across the formation, just stops behind the center, takes the snap and quarterback sneak. They tried it on 3rd and 3 earlier. Came up a little short, which led to a 4th down opportunity. Much more effective on 3rd and 1 there. He does a good job.
And now he becomes a wide receiver. At 1st down and 10. A very impressive drive to this point for the Cavaliers. Armstrong trying to slice inside. He'll be stacked up. Brennan Armstrong another carry. And really eating a lot of the clock away, and that'll go for 3 yards.
Leaving a lot of clock away. Talk about a 7-minute drive basically at this point. And it's been aided a little bit on a penalty, but it's really just been the ability to just continue to sustain the drive running the football. So you're just limiting the opportunities for Sam Howell and the North Carolina offense to have a response.
It's a drive that began with 13:09 on the clock. And now about 5.5 minutes to go. On the carry, it's Simpson. Simpson has been a very tough customer tonight for the Cavaliers, trying to knock off the number 15 team in the country, trying to snap their own 4-game skid. They've been talking about it all week on the Virginia side. They feel like they have played much better than 1-4 would indicate. Well, they certainly have played really well tonight. 5 minutes to go. Simpson with 70 yards rushing tonight. Strong is on the move. He's going to be sacked on the play. No place to hide that time for Brennan Armstrong.
And I'll tell you what, I think they were kind of flirting with disaster here with Armstrong. He was trying to get Keaton Thompson in the flat right away. It gets zoned off. There's a defender out there. He doesn't like it. He's got Chapman running right at him. And he's fortunate as Chapman kind of chopped at that football with his left arm. See Armstrong kind of cover it up at the last minute. That could have been disastrous for Virginia if he doesn't hold on to that football.
So they're going to kick the field goal. Brian Delaney on from 35 yards. The 5'10 senior and a Virginia native gets this one up, and it is good. So Virginia now on top 44. Tusby.
You say young kids. That Charles Snowden froze zone that looked like it was maybe last year.
It might have been last year at Halloween. Well, what an impressive drive there for Virginia. 15 plays, 58 yards. It took just over 9 minutes and wound up with the field goal. 9:02 on that drive. 44-34 Virginia. And time running out here for North Carolina. Just over 4 minutes to go, Tim.
Just look at playing with elite tonight versus this season. It's kind of incredible to think about. But look, when you've lost 4 in a row, kind of, starts to make sense. But obviously tonight a much different story. And I think the team's confidence has kind of been evident because of it.
Well, Howell needs some magic. He's going to fire this one complete to Brown, who will cut to the outside and meet the contact. Dyami Brown, who has had a sensational game, picks up 19 yards.
You think about that drive, Dave, that because it took up so much time, even though they settled for a field goal, that's better than a shorter drive that's 7 points, if you're Virginia, just because of the possession opportunities you're going to see here.
A battle for this one, and the catch is hauled in by Brown, and a flag is down. What a fight down near the goal line. And contact, all sorts of contact. Brown a little bit wobbly, kind of pulling.
Defense, number 1, penalties decline, pass is complete. First down.
Obviously declining. That penalty goes for 46 yards.
And if you're Virginia, you just can't let anything over the top. We know the situation of the game. Grant allows him to do that, then interferes with him. But great job by Brown of just, who cares about the pass interference? Go make the play anyway. Take the decision out of the official's hands.
Howell trying to scamper inside, staying on his feet, gets down to the 2-yard line. Sam Howell, who does not run all that often, eventually stopped by Amos, but gets it down close here. So mark it at the 3. And North Carolina knocking on the door with just over 3 minutes to go. In motion, Newsom. The handoff, and straight ahead it is Williams, who is in for the touchdown.
I mean, that just was way too easy if you're Virginia when you look at this. But, it's kind of had everything that you could use to describe North Carolina's offense. The big play down the field, and then when you get down in tight, it's the hammer. It's Javonte Williams running with power. Good movement up front, but it's Williams doing some of the work on his own, running through the tackle of Zane Zandier.
And the extra point is good to Charlottesville.
I mean, it really has, and it's been exciting. It's been plenty of offense, which has been great, but I think the explosion on offense for Virginia has been the biggest surprise, and it's really been tough for North Carolina to hold up defensively.
Well, flag down here, but bad kick in this situation.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. By rule, the ball is placed to the 35-yard line. First down.
So out to the 35 it comes as we take a look at our big ball moment of tonight's game.
Well, and I think one of the things you do is a team, when you struggle or you lose a football game, you look back at some of well, that shouldn't have happened. Well, how about the muff punt by Toe Groves? And how about the end of the half scenario where you don't come away with 3, which currently is the difference in this football game? And obviously the fumble.
I mean, North Carolina has outgained Virginia by 127 yards, but they still trailed. Yet they just answered a 9-minute field goal drive by going 75 yards in 76 seconds. That is the quarterback, Armstrong, who is down for Virginia. We're going to take the break. 2:39 to go. And the starting quarterback for Virginia, Brennan Armstrong, is helped off the field A left leg injury, and this is where it happened. Tough to see when he goes into the pile, but when he gets dragged down, and then moments later has to be helped off. So Keaton Thompson will take over at quarterback for Virginia with just over 2 minutes to go. 2nd down and 7, and up by 3, and he is going to run it. And you know he does that so well, and he also has both of the gloves on unless he's going to pass the football.
Which could be an indicator, but I would expect that they just continue to run.
Timeout, North Carolina. They're first for the half. This is the 32nd timeout.
Timeout of the half, 2 remaining.
I need the microphone during these critical times.
And Virginia, well, so do we. And Virginia with all 3 remaining. 2:12 on the clock. Boy, it has been an entertaining night here in Charlottesville, no question about that. And tonight, after our game, join the huddle as they break down the news of the day from all of the ACC football action. The huddle coming up next on ACC Network. This will be right near the top, the result of this one. Clemson hanging on today to knock off Boston College, even though they were down 18 at halftime. Able to win the game without the great Trevor Lawrence. So now Lyndall Stone is also into the game. Another quarterback alongside Thompson. And Thompson will take the snap. He's going to try and bounce outside. Carolina giving chase. So 2:02 remaining. Thompson with the carry, and despite all of that activity, gained nothing.
They're second of the half.
North Carolina will take another.
Timeout.
Yeah, and I think between situation of the game and the fact that Keaton Thompson's in a quarterback, even with Lyndall Stone in the backfield, you know, you saw North Carolina basically decide to sell out to defend the run with basically no anticipation of Virginia throwing the football. Again, situation, and also because of who they have at the quarterback position.
Armstrong now out of the tent and indicating to the trainers where he got hit apparently. Armstrong has had a really impressive night. Both quarterbacks have. Sam Howell has had a sensational game. And 4th down and 4. And a snap here to Thompson. Little slip there, but he stays on his feet. Still moving forward. Keaton Thompson with a spectacular play as he will pick up the 1st down.
What a call by Bronco Mendenhall. I mean, basically, you know, on your own side of the field, and what a play by Keaton Thompson. This thing's designed to go to the right, and he just decides on his own to bounce it back to the left. And you know, Bronco Mendenhall's talked a lot about Keaton Thompson is playing because he's one of our best athletes. We want the ball in his hands because good things will happen, and that's a great example of why right there on the fake punt.
And Nash Griffin, the punter, was in there, but they fake it. Talapapa trying to dance outside, but they stack him up. And he will lose a yard to bring up 2nd down.
North Carolina, their 3rd and final of the half. This is the 32nd timeout.
And the last one for Mac Brown here, 44-41. Virginia trying to hang on and eke out the victory and knock off the number 15 team in the country and put a giant hurt on North Carolina, with the Tar Heels hoping to make a run at an ACC championship. They've already got the one loss to FSU. And on the Virginia side, you're talking about a 4-game losing skid, which probably feels like, you know, 10 or 12 at this point, that they are trying to snap here tonight.
You're so right about that, Dave. And with everything that's going on and kind of some of the challenges playing football and being ready and all of that. But Bronco Mendenhall has been very clear that he's loved the competitive spirit of his team. In fact, told us he liked the competitive spirit of his team more this year versus Clemson and Miami than he did a year ago. So even though the record was better a year ago, it's kind of the effort, competitive spirit that he liked about his team, and the result much different tonight.
Wendell Stone taking a knee. It's so unusual to hear a head coach talk about competitive spirit for a team that is 1-4, but he was very sincere about that. 44 points in this one, their most against an AP ranked opponent in a long time, going back to 2002.
And Bronco's always been clear when we've visited with him is that even though this is an outcome kind of oriented business or experience in terms of the win and loss, you know, of a football game, it's the process that they really are dedicated to, and their process, they've stayed committed to it, and it paid off tonight.
You gotta love the call, and you did on 4th and 3 from their own 42. Thompson with a really gutsy play, goes for 5, and that's how they wind up salting this one away.
And that's a gutsy play, you're right, and it's probably a necessary play when you know, saw all throughout the night how quickly North Carolina was able to strike. And so kind of the calculated risk that Bronco Mendenhall took in that scenario, and obviously was the right decision.
There's your final score. Virginia 44, North Carolina 41. Virginia was outgained by over 100 yards in this game, but they win it nonetheless and knock off number 15 North Carolina here tonight. Tar Heels falling to